Today on the podcast, we have Tina and Matt Lunalover, founders of Rebel Raw, which is a small batch raw pet food maker based in Atlanta, Georgia. Tina and Matt created Rebel Raw with the goal of making it easy for owners like you to feed your pet real food. Their food is made fresh weekly with all natural human-grade ingredients, and the meals are pre-portioned, complete, and balanced for your pet's specific needs. You can find Tina and Matt and learn all about Rebel Raw at rebelraw.com. or follow them on Instagram at Rebel Raw Food. And listeners can use the discount code PAWCAST, P-A-W-CAST, for $10 off your first order. So Tina and Matt, welcome to the podcast. Why don't you take a second to fill in anything I missed there, and we'll get right into things.
Hi, Tim. Thanks so much for having us today.
Pleasure to be on your podcast today.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I think you covered everything. Yeah, like you said, we started this because we really wanted to get more cats and dogs eating healthy, real food, so that they could see the benefits of fresh food and how it makes a huge difference in their health and happiness.
And also wanted to point out as well that we do pickups locally in Atlanta if you're in the area. But we deliver and also ship throughout the United States.
Great. So how did it all start for you guys, this business?
Yeah, so I think, like most small businesses, it came out of a need. I was originally feeding my cats raw food that I was buying, and for cats, they don't eat a whole lot, so it wasn't very expensive, so that was fine. And then Matt and I got together and we knew we wanted to get a dog. And we then also acquired another cat. So we were up to 4 cats and a dog, and we wanted to continue feeding them fresh food, of course. But we figured, we need to try to make this ourselves. Let's figure out if we can do this. And luckily Matt's dad owned a restaurant, and we thought maybe we can get food through his dad, and we'll just get a meat grinder and we'll do a lot of research and we'll figure this out. We're going to make our own food. So that's kind of how it first started. And I would say, at the time I had tried some other commercial raw foods, and I didn't feel like I was getting the customer service that I felt I should have gotten. And it seemed like this could be done with like great customer service, just like a lot of things. There's no reason that raw food can't be sold and pet parents can't be helped with, excellent customer service. So that was kind of one of our guiding principles as we were thinking about starting this, but basically like a lot of people, we just started doing it for ourselves. We were making it for our animals. We had friends and family who wanted some of the food as well. And then we just thought, hey, we should see if we can do this as a business. So
what were you doing? What were you giving your cats before you went raw, and what was the impetus, spark to go raw?
And like most people, I was feeding a very, what I thought, high quality kibble. And I hadn't really even heard of raw. And then I remembered I would occasionally see something online or in a magazine article that talked about the benefits of raw food. And I always kept thinking I need to get back and research this and investigate this when I have more time, but I was busy with work and probably took another year or two. And then I finally sat down and really researched it. And it was like, of course, this makes sense. Of course, cats should be eating raw meat. If they were out in the wild, they'd be getting chipmunks and mice and rats and eating them. And, this is crazy. I'm feeding them this dried crap. And at the time, one of the cats was overweight and another cat was underweight. And I thought, okay, I'm going to try this. And, within like a month, the overweight cat lost weight and she was the right weight, and the skinny cat gained weight and she was, a healthy weight. So it really made a huge difference. Their fur was softer, they were shiny. And for cat owners, the litter box can be a nightmare. So, and that's really, you see that change immediately where, there's no litter box smell. The litter box waste you're cleaning out is minimal. I mean, it makes a huge difference. And you can see like what I'm feeding them is real food. So there's less waste coming out, less waste that stinks, less waste to clean up. So it really just made sense. And it's one of those things you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I was feeding them this junk. But then, you don't know, you don't know what you don't know.
No. Yeah.
And so you have one dog and 4 cats. I have that correct?
Yeah.
And your dog is a pitbull, Victory, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. We got her from a local pitbull rescue in Atlanta that they like specialize in pit bulls or bully breeds.
Okay. And how old was he at the time? I assume it's a he. He's a he.
She.
It's a
sorry?
she.
It's a she. Victory's a she. So how old was she at when you got her?
She was a puppy.
2 months.
Yeah, she's pretty young.
Wow. So she was, the age that you would normally get a puppy at, even if you got.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It was kind of an interesting story. They found the mother in a really bad situation where she wasn't being cared for, and they basically were brought this dog, and it was it was a friend of a friend's dog or something like that, and it was going into labor. So the mother had all these complications, and long story short, they lost, was it half of the litter that Victory was a part of, and she was one of the puppies that survived that litter that they were able to kind of rescue the mom out of that bad situation. So
interesting. Wow. So, I've heard mixed approaches in terms of feeding puppies raw. So, how did it work for you in terms of feeding Victory from the beginning?
It was great. I mean, they take to it right away. I think the concern is making sure that the nutrients are balanced. And especially things like calcium, because they're rapidly growing. So you have to be careful to not have too much calcium. But I think, you think about it in the wild, the mother dog would nurse her puppies until they could eat real food, and then they would go out and hunt and catch their food. So, same with puppies that you have in your house. I mean, they're physically able to process and eat raw food as soon as they're weaned. You would just want to make sure that everything is complete and balanced.
And so how would you go about balancing that for a puppy, and then maybe we can get into it for an adult dog?
Yeah. And so that's what, we really wanted to do for people with this company, is provide complete and balanced options, because that can be a nightmare trying to figure that out and balance everything and calculate and, ratios. So we've done all that for you. So everything is already complete and balanced for puppies through adult dogs. Because that can be a lot of work.
It's stressful too, because you have this puppy and you're like, I want to feed this dog right, and you have all these fears, of course, because it's a new diet to most people, and it is going to be more effort because it's fresh. So kind of to put aside all of those initial fears, and just it's hard. It's hard to make complete food. It's not, you can make it. It's not impossible, but No, it's just difficult, especially when you have this puppy and you're trying to feed it all the things it needs.
I was going to say, we do offer both. We offer complete and balanced options, and we also offer basic grinds that are just meats, bones, organs, that for folks that are the do-it-yourselfers or want to add specific supplements or have a dog with specific needs, can do that. So we offer both.
And so when it comes to getting that that balance correct, what source or what authorities are you kind of calling on in order to inform yourselves around getting that just right for dogs?
Yeah, so I mean, we use professional pet food formulators. So everything is balanced down to the microgram, like every nutrient, every vitamin. And then we use AAFCO's standards to make sure that everything is exceeded.
So so Victory right now, how much does Victory weigh?
She weighs About 50 pounds.
50 pounds. And so what would a typical meal for her look like in terms of like what's in it and, the breakdown of meat,
Sure.
other things, et cetera?
Yeah. So, I mean, an average 50-pound dog, average activity level, average metabolism, she needs about 20 ounces a day. So 10 ounces of food per meal. And of course, some foods have more calories than others. Yeah. Chicken's a leaner meat. Beef has more calories. Duck has more calories. So it varies a little bit. But
and so just to stop you right there. So 50 pounds equates to about 20 ounces of food. Is there a thumb rule that you used to get that?
Yeah. I mean, we use our meals are based on the standard, which is the 2.5% of a dog's body weight.
Okay. So 2.5%
of the dog's body weight in food per day.
So 2.5% of her weight would be, so pounds, that would be
no. Oh, I just put my calculator away. But yeah, I know.
If she was 100 pounds, it'd be 2.5 pounds. So it's 1.25 pounds. So okay. So 16 ounces plus 4 ounces is 1.25 pound.
Yep.
Got it. Okay. Cause sometimes
I know it's confusing.
People do it on a gram basis, but they don't put the units. So, okay. So,
and that's, yeah. And this is exactly why we've already got it portioned. Based on the weight of your dog. So like if you went to our website and wanted to order food for your dog, you would just select the weight of your dog, and then it would already come portioned in 2 meals a day so that you don't have to try to figure all this out. So
got it. So 20 ounces of food, what would be the breakdown of components of that?
So like our chicken mix, which is complete and balanced, it's 90% meat and bone and 10% vegetables. And then we do use a vitamin supplement for that like tiny bit extra that can't be gotten from the meat and the vegetables. And that's less than 1% of the entire meal. That's the vitamin mix. So like the chicken mix, so it's got the chicken meat, chicken hearts, chicken livers, and then we use spinach, carrots, and a tiny bit of salmon oil for omega-3s.
Yeah.
So 90% is chicken meat and bones. It sounds like the chicken meat is more than just muscle meat. It has organ meat. So how do you choose like that sort of breakdown? If you were to break it down further, like if I were to double click on the 90% chicken, what would that breakdown look like? So people kind of get a sense for that.
Yeah. And this is all in the details on our website if anybody has any specific questions, but 5% heart, 5% liver.
Yeah.
Okay. And then 80% muscle meat, roughly.
Yeah, about 10% bone. Yep.
Okay. Oh.
So yeah, about 70%.
70% muscle meat, 10% bone, 10% organ meat.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's similar to, I've had some other raw guests on it. I think they followed like the 80-10-10.
Yeah. That's kind of, and that's kind of like a very, that's like a standard to build meals. It's kind of like the food pyramid for people that says you should have 3 servings of, this and 5 servings of vegetables. Grains. Yeah. It may not give you the absolute 100% nutrition that you need by following the food pyramid, but you're going to get pretty close.
Yeah. So I always try to break it down and make it like as actionable as possible for someone listening. So the idea is that if, you had a 50-pound dog, I'm just thinking of about, a pound and a quarter of food. So I have in my mind, a pound of, ground beef, what that looks like. So it's a pretty big bowl, and about 80 to 90% of that bowl would, be like meat, a small amount of bones. And then you have vegetables, but no starch, no like grain or carbohydrate, no rice or anything like that.
No.
Correct. Yeah.
And so in the vegetables, what are some of the favorite vegetables you use?
So we try to get the most nutritional value.
Yeah.
And we've switched vegetables throughout the years if we found that, we could get a better spinach. We used romaine for a while, but there were recalls on that. But spinach has a really high vitamin,
nutrient dense.
Very nutrient dense. So, and we want to use the least amount of vegetables that give us the most amount of vitamins as possible. So right now it's just spinach and carrots.
Okay. And I noticed that your product comes basically packaged like in the containers, for example, that you would find in the prepared food section of a supermarket, right? Kind of like the plastic closed lid containers, and looks, very nice. Like it's obviously been prepared by hand with love.
Oh yeah.
And it's all ground it's all blended together, right? Versus I know some raw feeders do things so that's like segregated, right? And so what's been your thought process, or pros and cons of doing it that way versus the other way?
I think we want to make it as really as similar to how you would feed, not necessarily kibble, but pretty frictionless. So it's in the container, it's already portioned for the exact size dog you have, and then you just simply thaw it in the refrigerator for a couple days and then just feed it. And I feel like that was one of the first things we ran into, is whenever we were buying, like say a 10-pound chub or something of raw meat, is it's kind of messy. It's
very messy.
Yeah, very messy. And then you have to figure out how to cut it, because you don't want to thaw it too much, because then it's just a big 10-pound mess of meat. So you're like halfway thawing it, and then like cutting it and sawing it in half. So we found this was the easiest way, or most practical way to do it.
Got it. So it's meant to be user friendly for the owner, and also of course nutritionally balanced for the dog. But it's not like the dog is going to be eating 100% like he or she would in the wild, and ripping meat apart off an antelope's carcass, for example. Right?
Yeah.
Right. Right.
And so you have some, when it comes to raw feeding or on kind of like a breed specific approach, you hear a lot of talk of the traditional Chinese medicine model, and different meats are warming or cooling or neutral. Yeah. How do you guys think about that? How is that reflected in your products? To what extent do your customers ask about that, et cetera?
I mean, we've suggested that to some customers that, have had dogs with itchy skin, or seemed hot, or, were red or had any kind of inflammation, to try a cooling meats approach. We also offer a protein variety meal that comes with chicken, turkey, and beef, so that you get, a variety of warming and cooling meats, as well as just protein variety is always good. So, and that, I mean, it's something we do want to add to the website a little bit more in depth about that.
I think it does
on our list of things to
to
get more information out there about. But customers that have had specific needs, we've suggested that to them, that they might want to try that, and some people do, and and they always seem to have success with it. So I would does seem to work.
What are some of the typical questions that a new customer comes to you with, especially one that maybe has been feeding their dog kibble, or even freeze dried raw, or even home cooked? What kind of questions do you usually get from folks?
Get a lot of questions. I mean, I would say probably, a lot of people are really just eager to learn and are curious. They're it's not something that a lot of people are educated on, and so a lot of people's knowledge is from zero.
And like anything you look up on the internet, there's a million different ideas, and a million different professional articles about something. So people sometimes, I think, go like
too far.
Get overwhelmed, and then they're just it's like too much. It's information overload. And so we have to kind of like step them back and calm them down, and just help them think through it. Like, does this make sense that your cat or dog should be eating fresh food? Like, just think about it logically.
And it's I think a lot of it is they'll get a puppy, or they'll have an older dog that has issues, but kind of the common thread is that they've they've tried a lot of things, or they, they have this dog that they've had all this prescription food, and the vets told them that this is the best for your dog, and it hasn't helped. And unfortunately, a lot of vets aren't supportive. So like, well, you should probably find another vet that has a similar thought to how an animal should
nutritional experience. So I mean, a lot of questions like that.
What resources do you point people towards, if they're looking for kind of like, a second opinion on raw feeding in terms of what's out there on the internet or locally in Atlanta or anywhere, really?
I mean, we usually point them towards a holistic vet. Generally holistic vets are a lot more nutritionally sound in their knowledge. It's tough though, because, there's, in some places there just aren't any. I mean, even in Atlanta, there's not a ton. But there are still a lot of, it's tough because, like we were saying, with too much information, it can be overwhelming. But there are a lot of good resources on the internet, like Perfectly Rawsome has a lot of great information on it, where you can get real nitty gritty with it if you want. But
Dr. Karen Becker.
Oh yeah.
And there's thankfully, there's starting to be more of a community of holistic minded vets and nutritionists. And that you can,
and Facebook groups, that have raw supporting Facebook groups that are local to your area. So they'll have, the know-how of the raw providers next to you, and you can get a lot of good opinions from people that have had similar situations where their dog was sick, or they just got a dog, from a breeder, and the breeder fed raw and said, hey, you really need to feed raw. So, and I think that goes the farthest, is just that hearing stories from people, and then you observing it yourself, and you're like, oh yeah, this is real.
And what about the pros and cons of this type of raw feeding versus freeze dried raw, for example? Any thoughts there?
I mean, freeze dried is a great option, especially if you're traveling. A lot of our customers will get freeze dried if they're traveling.
Oh yeah.
It is more compact, but it is processed in a way. It's not fresh. It's not. It has been processed in a way, and it's been. I mean, just like for a human, if you were to eat, freshly prepared food or something that's been rehydrated. But I think it's a great. I mean, I'd rather have somebody get their cat or dog freeze dried than not. And I think it's a good transition for folks who are wary of raw, going from kibble to raw. Like the freeze dried, I think it's a
good stepping stone. Yeah. And it's not messy.
Yeah.
Well, what about, a potential customer who comes to you and they're just kind of on the fence? They just need that final kind of push of confidence, like, here, take my hand and everything's going to kind of be okay. But, they're not ready to commit to a month's worth of product. How do you guys, work with someone like that? Or is there kind of like a first step of, okay, I've tried raw for a week and now I feel comfortable with it? What's the usual, journey like for someone going to raw with, one of your customers?
It really depends, because I think it's a lot less the dog's willingness to eat the food, and it's more of what the owner is comfortable with. So, some people, for most dogs, it's and owners, it's easiest to just go cold turkey and just switch to raw. But that doesn't work for everyone, and some people will have, especially with cats can be really difficult. But with cats and dogs, we'll say, well, you want to feed one of your meals as its current food, and then the next meal a raw meal, and usually the dog, once it has the raw meal, it's
not going back.
It's not going back. It's spoiled.
But and we sell our items like individually as well. So if somebody just wanted to get 1 8-ounce portion or, 1 4-ounce portion just to try, they're able to do that.
Without committing to a week worth.
But we usually tell people, you need to give it 2 weeks and you start seeing benefits in 2 weeks. So
what are the things that most of your customers notice, and or are there any, especially powerful stories that you get from customers on the transition and the results?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much the first things you see are the shiny coat, the soft fur. A lot of folks who have had dogs that have had bad breath will notice pretty quickly, like the bad breath is gone. With stool, for dogs, it's immediate, where their stool is firm and small and odorless. It disintegrates naturally. So if you have a yard where your dog goes to the bathroom, you don't have to clean it up. It'll disappear naturally in 2 weeks. And for cats, like I said earlier, the litter box is a huge difference. It's, not so traumatic anymore. But at long term, you don't have any of the dental issues you see with dogs or cats. They don't have plaque or tartar buildup. They don't need teeth extracted. They don't need their teeth to be cleaned. And then just health wise, you just don't see the issues that you see with animals that have been fed kibble. You don't see cats with kidney disease or urinary tract issues. You don't, see dogs with, a keto raw diet is recommended to treat cancer, to help prevent cancers and inflammation.
Just being overweight and joint issues.
Yeah, well, that's the biggest. Yeah, right. Just maintaining a healthy weight. But yeah, I guess we've had a lot of customers that have had dogs that had gastrointestinal issues, and have had a lot of diarrhea or vomiting. And pretty much within a week, they've all said that that's all gone. That's a thing of the past. Their dogs are holding the food, and
that's probably the most common thing is gastrointestinal issues that people have, and the raw diet really cures it.
Mm-hmm. And how do you end up getting most of your customers?
Well, I would say most of them are word of mouth. I mean, I'm really shocked at how many times we'll have someone that doesn't feed raw, that will send us an email or something and say, hey, I've been thinking about this for my dog. So and so, one of your customers, their dogs love it. It's been raving about you, and that's how we get most of our customers. Because we don't really advertise or do anything like that. But yeah.
And then so locally in Atlanta, how do customers get the product? Do you actually use go ahead.
So yeah, we have a couple of options in Atlanta. We have a pickup, and we actually don't have a retail location. So we'll make all of our food at our facility, and our pickup location is our front porch. We just have a big chest freezer on our front porch, and people select a time and they'll pick it up. But we also have a local delivery guy that we work with, and he does kind of the Atlanta metro area within like 30 miles land that he locally delivers to.
And then for customers that are not in the Atlanta area, how do you guys ship the product?
So we ship it in insulated boxes with dry ice.
UPS.
Through UPS, throughout the United States.
Okay. What's the furthest customer away that you have?
Oh, that's a good question. I guess.
Yeah, we've got a lot in Texas, which always surprises us.
Yeah.
I guess Texas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, probably far west as it's been.
Okay. Well, guys, I think it's pretty clear what you guys do at Rebel Raw, and customers get or listeners get another perspective on raw feeding, and even some actionable thoughts on, hey, if you wanted to give this a try for themselves, how to kind of get that breakdown correct. So anything else that you would share with folks, whether it's advice or, stories, and, I guess especially for those that are kind of on the fence about raw?
I mean, I would say, just give it a try. Think about how your cat or dog would eat in the wild, think about how what their bodies were designed to digest. This is the way that the most vitamins and nutrients are bioavailable to them. This is the way that they can absorb the most nutrients. A bag of kibble is like a bag of Doritos with a multivitamin crushed up and thrown in there, that's not really food. Mm-hmm. So, this is actual real whole food. I mean, it's fresh. Like I think you had said in the beginning, I mean, we get all of our food is from restaurant suppliers. We get our food several times a week. We're grinding fresh several times a week. So everything is very fresher than what you would find in the supermarket.
Oh yeah.
Awesome. So of course it's all human grade.
Yes.
As we said in the beginning. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, guys. So I mentioned it in the beginning, but where can folks go to learn more about and or connect with you?
Probably best place is our website, rebelraw.com. Also on Instagram at rebelrawfood.
Okay. All right. Tina and Matt Lunalover with Rebel Raw in Atlanta, Georgia. And again, you can go to their website, rebelraw.com. And first-time customers can use the code PAWCAST to get $10 off your first order. All right. Thanks, guys.
Great. Thank you so much.